powerful man, a hugely wealthy man, but you instantly feel that he's on your level and he's communicating with you. And a term that some of us use in my age, he's like an uncle. He's a wise head who's prepared to give you some good counselling, and that's not at an individual but at a corporate level as well. He's a very worldly man, and his understanding of Jaguar Land Rover, not long after he bought us, which is when I first met him, is that it was as if he'd been an employee for years. He knew about the organisation. He didn't know the individuals, he didn't know the sites or anything, but he knew what we were, and he came in with a vision of where we might go, and that was another thing that struck me about him. And then, interestingly enough, there's a flip of that, is that there's a bit of aggression as well, and not an aggression in the sense of being hard and brutal, but you may recall that when the world fell out of the market a couple of years ago, like every other automotive manufacturer, we were clamouring for money. We were looking at, and it was Mr. Tata and his colleagues that helped finance Jaguar Land Rover's issues there. And again, he was hard with representatives of the UK government. He was absolutely clear with where we needed to be. The fact that it was an Indian-owned company was no excuse, in his view, for Jaguar Land Rover to look to India to fund it. His view was this was a UK company, it employed predominantly UK people, and therefore, HM government step up to the plate and help Jaguar Land Rover. And it was interesting in some of the film clips we saw of him, of that level of aggression, which was well intended and very good. How has it impacted on Jaguar Land Rover, the ownership of Tata? It is really interesting because we came directly from Ford ownership, and there was a perfect contrast between Ford and Tata. And I hope there are no Ford employees in the room, because Ford did a great job for Jaguar Land Rover. The fact that they're still here today is partly because Ford invested very heavily in us, gave us great introductions into new product, new systems, new processes that kept us afloat. Ford, unfortunately, in my view, didn't understand the premium car industry as well as they understand the mass market industry, and I think we almost fell over by imposing mass market techniques into luxury products, and I think there was a fundamental problem with that. And there were other things which I won't go into detail for, but I believe they were too hands-on. When we worked there, mission control was in Dearborn, and almost every product decision of any note or any program decision of every note had to go back to base camp to have it ratified.
Sorry.
With Tata, sorry.
No.
With Tata, it's entirely different. You are part of the Tata family. You are expected to be self-sufficient. You're not expected to go back to your parents and ask for some money. Yes, unfortunately, only months after Tata bought us, the whole world fell apart. And yes, Tata had to very benevolently, deal with us a lot of money, which they, luckily they've been paid back now. But the fact was that they stood by us. They saw the future of the business, and this wasn't an opportunity to offload a problem that a company had a problem. This was a chance to actually invest in us and make us even stronger and even more aggressive and more prosperous as we go forward. So the fact that we're here today, the fact that we're returning half-decent profits, and our forecast is to continue on with that, the fact, going back to your earlier questioner, that we're looking to expand our business in other markets, really in many ways is about Mr. Tata's vision for Jaguar Land Rover. Interestingly, I was involved in some of the purchasing discussions when Jaguar Land Rover was up for sale by Ford. I was lucky enough to meet many of the people who were looking to buy us, because for one of the jobs I had, I look after all our proving grounds, and nearly all of the buyers wanted to drive our cars and see the products that we made, and we have a large proving ground over at Gaydon, and we took all the people around. And then they had a show for the trades unions. They told the trade unions what they wanted to do. And one of the questions that the trade unionists asked was, well, if it all goes wrong, are you going to sell us? What's going to happen? Is this a short-term acquisition? And the Tata senior team were almost offended by the question, in the sense that their view was, we're buying you, this is a long-term vision. This is a 20, 30, 50, 100-year vision. This is not a short-term expediency to make money. And therefore, the very fact that we're with them, we are a self-sufficient company. We don't get interference from Pune or Mumbai on a day-by-day basis. We're given that independence to grow. A lot of decisions are made locally in Gaydon or at Wickley, and I think that's a huge change from when we were under Ford ownership. So I think it's a great opportunity. We've got great parents. We need to respect that and move the business further forward.
Okay, my question is for Mr.